Guys, I'm here. I'm a couple minutes late. I apologize, but I am here. I brought my laptop out to the summer kitchen. Can everybody hear me? And on the way from the house into the summer kitchen, I lost internet, which means I had to go into StreamYard again. And then they had to send me a verification code. And then I had to open up my email. I couldn't remember my email password, and it was like, trying to get in here, and I could not get in here. So, good morning. How's everybody doing? We have the Green Acre Crazy Eds, Lisa from Yogi, Nisi from Free Hanley. Nisi from Free Hanley? Yeah, I believe I got that right. Daz is not feeling well. And so I told him he needs to take care of himself. Um, Good morning, Denise, my neighbor and friend. Good morning, everybody. Well, I tell you what, I have my painting shirt on today. I was so excited to paint this morning and come and have some time with you here and talk about the barn quilt and all those other fun things. And boy, did we get a gully washer this morning. I did manage to get my coffee though. It poured buckets and buckets and buckets of rain here earlier. I'm sure my neighbor Denise had the exact same experience with just tons of rain. And I just watered my garden because I thought, when they say it's going to rain and I don't water, then we barely get any. But I watered and then we just had this huge downpour. It was so dark here. It looked like nighttime. The street light was on. We've got a little security light out front for the farm, and it was on. All of my little solar lights in the garden were on. It was crazy. Morning, James. You can just hop in, hop out. That's fine. Um, I know that this morning time doesn't work for everybody. A lot of people have their jobs, they have things to do, and so many of the other YouTubers that I'm in this community with, they have their lives at nighttime, and that's difficult for me to make because I like to save the evenings for my husband. He works hard all day. He comes home, and the last thing I want to do is ignore him while he sits on one end of the couch and I'm involved with a live where he doesn't really know everybody. And I know some people will say, well, get him involved so he knows everybody. And that's good and fine. But he still doesn't work hard all day to come home and have everything be about YouTube. So I've made this conscious decision to try to just really focus on having my lives in the morning, not too early, so everybody on the West Coast can chime in, like Erin over at Bramble Hill, but not too late so that it's just sweltering hot. But it gives me a chance to get things watered in the morning. It gives me a chance to take care of all of the coop kids, get some painting. I just spilled everywhere. Party foul. Sorry. Good morning, Erin. And Michael over at the Green Acre is right. Family first. And just like I told Daz this morning, Daz isn't feeling well over in Australia. For him, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't have to be here for this and struggle through not feeling well and being sleep deprived as well. I appreciate it very much when he is here. He is one of my moderators, but the family has to come first. Erin's laying in bed listening. Well, good morning, Erin. Grab a cup of coffee and just kind of wake up slowly. We're going to have more rain, another storm this afternoon, according to Denise. So I'm just going to focus on my indoor chores today. I will tell you, I went out to the black raspberry patch this morning, and I think today was the last day for gathering berries. It's not as vibrant. The berries are kind of losing that glow of health and loveliness in life. They're just kind of like, yeah, we're just hanging out until a bird picks us off the vine. So I collected what I could. I think I got a cup and a half or 2 cups. And I think that will just be my last day for harvesting the berries. But I'll tell you what, I think I have, I don't know, 10 or 15 freezer bags in the new freezer that we got that are just full of berries. So I'm not going to be lacking for berries. And on a sunny day, I'll be doing some berry cobblers out in my solar oven, and I'll be recording those. So, but I was very disappointed to not be able to paint today. I really wanted to start this week painting the dark teal on the barn quilt. How many of you saw the video that I put up of the barn quilt? I know it looks a little scattered. It looks a little frenetic, but it is going to come together, I promise. Good morning, Mejias. Hello. One more harvest by the end of the weekend on raspberries for Michael over at the Green Acre. The black raspberries are so delicious. I picked 2 and I put them in the bucket and then 1 for me, and 2 in the bucket and 1 for me. And so I've had breakfast by the time I make it back up. And some people say, well, don't you rinse them? And aren't you worried about bugs? I've not seen very many bugs at all on those berries. Now, my brother's raspberries, he had a little bit of issue with tiny little black bugs. I'm not seeing those out here. Every once in a while, I see a ladybug or a box elder bug, and I just kind of flick them off. Not the ladybugs, but the box elder bugs. And I'll just pop a berry in my mouth. There's no chemicals on it. It's all organic, and it's all in nature. And, you know, the morning dew kind of gives them a little rinse. So rambling with the Brums, it's Scott with 2 T's. 2 T Scott. Hello. People in rinsing. I know. Got to rinse everything off. I do rinse them once I get them up into the house. I give them a good rinse before I put, and a good drain before I put them in their baggies, and I mark the baggies and I bring them out to the new freezer. Hello, Along the River Homestead. Look, I was going to paint this morning. That is Chrissy. She submitted, sorry, Louis has followed me all the way from the house. He's actually going to go on top of the camera. If I lose you for a second, he's crawling around the camera. He's thinking about it. Keep it G-rated, Louie. Keep it G-rated. Don't be showing everybody your undercarriage as you're going over the camera there. Oh, Chrissy is smart. She has me on mute. She knows that's how it has to be. She has a customer in her office. Woohoo! I think the woohoo was for Louie possibly showing. See, look, he's going to go over the camera. Hello, Louie. He's saying, hi, everybody, how you doing? He's going to take a bath in front of you. I mean, seriously, you've got the entire summer kitchen, Louie. You have to land on the camera. Are you going to exit stage right all on your own, or am I going to have to shoo you away? He's just hanging out. All right, Louie, be gone with you. Go do something else. I'm not going to kill you, but go do something else. So I've got my coffee. And I thought we would just have a really nice little chat this morning. Again, I wanted to paint. I was so excited to bring in that new color and the barn quilt from the kitchen here. It is so beautiful. It's going to be such a beautiful, not centerpiece, but it's really going to draw your attention. It's going to be something really beautiful to look at while we're sitting here in the summer kitchen, and all of the colors of the summer kitchen are out there. I really was leaning towards some of the entries that had sunflowers. And because originally I told my husband when the barn got completely cleared, on the south side of the barn, the really long part of the corn crib, I wanted to paint sunflowers, just random freehand sunflowers. Stick figures might be the best I could do. And I was going to try to talk my sister-in-law into coming over and helping me with that. And I thought, that's a pretty big task. I'll do a barn quilt in front instead. So I was really kind of leaning towards sunflowers. And my husband said, but you do the barn quilt at one, and then you plant sunflowers on the corners, and they'll grow up, and you'll have the best of both worlds. So that through, I will have, yes, it'll focal point. Thank you, guys. It'll be the focal point as you're sitting here. You won't notice the barn missing so much. I'll have this beautiful focal point. I cannot wait until it's all done. You guys, it's going to be beautiful. All of the submissions, all of the entries were absolutely stunning. And so many of it made it into honorable mention. So they'll be here on the farm in different places. So don't worry. Lisa over at Yogi Hollow, Aaron over at Bramble Hill Homestead, ML's Words of Wisdom from Wisconsin. She's so funny. I will be using a barn door for hers because hers was not square. It was more of a rectangle. So they'll end up here. They might end up out in the garden somewhere. They might end up here in the summer kitchen. But fear not, if you made the honorable mention, you're gonna be okay. You'll end up somewhere here on the farm. Yes, focal point. Very nice. Mail call, Mr. Farmer. Who's watched that movie, Funny Farm? Love Funny Farm with Chevy Chase. I was, if you've seen it, give me a little thumbs up. If you have ever seen uh, Chevy Chase and Madeline, can't remember her last name. They were in this movie, Funny Farm. And we love that movie so much. And sometimes that's how we feel moving here onto this farm. You like my garden behind me? Oh, Michael, I got my first little cherry tomatoes today. So I picked my first 2 little cherry tomatoes. The cherry tomatoes, let's see. If I move my head. Woo! The cherry tomatoes are there. That's how high they are. And I do have them on a stake with a not a wire, but twine. And the green beans have gone over and they're carrying those tomatoes all the way up to the eave. And then those are my green beans. And then it's so weird being backwards. You guys could keep me entertained all day long with this. There it is, right there. Those are all of my Romas. Those are more green beans. And if I move just right, I did set out, I swear, zinnias. Look at I hear people say zinnias. I call them zinnias, but people call them zinnias. And I put them back there. I cut some of the ones that grew up on the deck that I planted with my granddaughter because I wanted to talk about them. And I thought they would look nice sitting back there, but I blocked them. I block quite a bit. So you hope no one's locked in the basement. Oh, as long as I'm not locked in the basement on the farm, it's a good day. That's true. It's happened. I will tell you. They're trellising well. Everything is coming in. I got my first little couple, Louis on my shoulder. Hey, nope. And I harvested more cucumbers. I'll be doing more sweet bread and butter cucumbers. I don't know why they followed me out here. Anyways, in the movie Funny Farm, they have a terrible, terrible mailman. I have wonderful mailmen, mail persons that bring us our mail, and sometimes they bring it in here to the summer kitchen for me if it's a rainy day. And I was out back and I was picking blueberries, or blueberries. I was picking the black raspberries. And my husband comes up. He's driving the riding lawnmower, not my zero turn, not Cletus, but he's driving the old one. And he drives by and he just throws a bunch of crap at me. He goes, "Mail call, Mrs. Farmer," and he drives off. And I had the giggles so bad because it was straight out of the movie. He just like threw all the mail at me. It was hysterical. I love that movie. We relate to that movie on so many levels, and we joke about it all the time. Hard wood floors and our squirrel and just all these funny things. If you have not seen Funny Farm with Chevy Chase, treat yourself. That is a really funny movie. And they go to a farm in upstate New York. Hello, Crazy Ed and Simply Jan. Hello, everybody. Erin says that they have tomato plants and they have their tomatoes on it, but nothing's turning red yet. Mine are just starting to turn. I'm so happy. I'm expecting a bumper crop of Romas this year. And so I'm just going to pluck them, let them ripen once I've got them in here in the kitchen. And then I will be putting them in baggies and sticking them in that freezer, pulling them out at the end of the season, either just canning them whole or as sauce or diced, whatever. But that way I'll just be doing a whole bunch of canning all at one time. But I did bring, look what I brought. My first little batch of bread and butter. Look at all of those beautiful mustard seeds. I don't know about you guys, but I love to cut up Vidalia onions in my bread and butter pickles. My son absolutely loves them. And I had those little sweet peppers. I've got paint all in my fingernails. Little sweet peppers in the fridge that were just kind of getting ready to just kind of be on their last leg. I hate the glare. But I cut them all up and I put them in there. And this time I added some whole cloves to my bread and butter pickles. Gorgeous. I love them. I made too much brine. The brine was too much for what I had harvested. So it's in the little refrigerator here. And I've got enough cucumbers now. I'll be making a second batch. And I'll just reheat my brine. According to what I've researched, I can reheat my brine, do another batch, and get those going. But I love these little bread and butter pickles. So good. Anyways, I got distracted again. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the feedback on those. They do look good. So my husband drives by and says, mail call, Mrs. Farmer. And I have 2 pieces of mail to open today. And I've already opened one of them here, but I wanted to share it with you. I received a letter. If you watch some of my earlier videos, I'm wearing little aprons. And there is a young lady on Facebook that belongs to a homesteading group. Her name is Miss Pauletta. I call her Miss Pauletta. And she makes all of these beautiful little aprons. And I ordered a couple aprons from her, and I wear them in my cooking videos. And I don't remember how we got on the subject, but one day she said she was going to send me a pickle relish recipe, her favorite pickle relish recipe. And she said she was going to be sending it. I was expecting an email or maybe a little text or something, but gosh darn it, she sent it to me in the mail. And I just love, and this is from Tennessee. I love handwritten recipes. I'm going to hang on to this forever. Look, she wrote it all out. Sweet pickle relish in, handwriting that reminds me of my mother's handwriting. So neat. And I read over it, and it's very similar to the recipe that I use for my dill pickle relish. But this one has 2 cups of cauliflower florets that you chop up. And I'm not a fan of cauliflower. I'll tell you right now. I don't do the brassicas. Brassicas and I don't get along. I don't like them. I've never been a fan. I don't like broccoli. I don't like cauliflower. I don't like the little things. Brussels sprouts, things like that. For being a vegetarian, there are a lot of vegetables I don't like to eat. But she assures me that you can't really taste them. So I'm going to try to make a batch or 2 for the nutritional value of having the cauliflower in there. But it's really neat because I'm going to be making Miss Pauletta's relish in an upcoming video. And what I'll do is in that video, I'll also put a link to her channel if you ever want to, if you find yourself hankering to buy a really nice handmade apron. She sells those aprons, and it's kind of just her thing, and I really appreciate that. And what's really neat too is this calls for Mrs. Wage's bread and butter pickling brine mix. And I told her, I said, things are pretty slim out here where I go to my farm supply and everything. And I haven't been able to really see a lot of the Mrs. Wages stuff. And that sweet lady said, if you can't find it, you let me know. I will send you some. Good people. Good people. So I'm going to be doing Miss Pauletta's relish coming up. I am expecting a bumper crop of cucumbers. I'm going to be able to make all kinds of stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. And thank you so much. If you tune in for this, Miss Pauletta, I appreciate it. And I'll be making your relish. Let me catch up here. James is in and out of work. Forced to eat brassicas by a babysitter when I was younger, and I hated them for years because of that. Came around to them again within the last 10 years, says Michael from Greenacre. That's kind of neat. I don't know if I will. I mean, in a stir fry, I might have a little bit of broccoli. I think for me, it's a textural thing. I don't like eating broccoli and having all those little bits and pieces floating around in my mouth. Now, if I'm making a big thing of soup and I can grind them up real small and throw them in for the nutritional value and I don't have to feel the texture, I'm okay. I will do that. Mrs. Wages in nearly store. For a while, we just didn't have much of anything. And I'll tell you, I think I posted on Instagram the other day, Michael, at our store to the town to the south of us, we used to have a vegetable section, canned vegetables, that would take up half the aisle, at least half the aisle, just tons and tons and tons of selection for vegetables. And I went a week ago I wanted to find Veg-All. I don't have Veg-All, but they did have the store brand. And it's like this now compared to this. So what used to be a whole half of a long aisle in a rather large store, it's been relegated to maybe 8 feet. And that's it. And you don't have the selection you used to have. And I know that a lot of things were just really picked over, including the Mrs. Wages. Forget finding canning lids. You can forget that. But I was able to pick some up. But I just thought it was really neat when I told her. I said, I don't even know if I can find Mrs. Wages right now. She's like, I will send you some. I thought that was really great. Hello, Coffee Angel Crafts. Lynette. I remembered that's Lynette. So the second piece of mail that I got, this is from Boots and Bounty Homestead. They are also in Tennessee. All my mail came from Tennessee this week. And I was on a live with them the other day, and they were having a giveaway, and my name was drawn. And so I won one of their very first ever stickers. So they sent this to me. I was hoping there was going to be a little letter in there, but there's not. I know they're busy. Got a couple business cards, and I got this really cool sticker. So let me keep the envelope with my handwritten recipe. I want to make sure that stays together. Boots and Bounty Homestead sent me this really cool sticker. Right now, it's Casey and Steven. Casey and Steven are their names. And right now, Casey is doing a whole kitchen series on recipes if you want to go check them out. She's doing all kinds of really neat recipes that she's sharing. And they also do line dancing instructions. So I thought that was kind of cool. So they sent me this really fun sticker. I have to find a place to put it. I'm not going to put it on my little vintage Frigidaire, but I will find a place to put this up. So thank you guys for sending that to me. I really appreciate it. So, and then one more thing came in the mail. And I'll tell you what, okay, Erin, when I think I was sharing on some of my earlier lives, if there's something that I want or that I hint at, or even sometimes I don't even really mean to hint, Papa Jim spares me nothing. He will get me anything I want, anything I ask for. He is so good to me. And there have been times, like I said before, like on Facebook, my cousin will say, "Hey, have you seen these little Danish whisks?" And I'll say, "Oh, yeah, I love my Danish whisk. Matter of fact, I'd love to have another one." And he doesn't even say anything to me. I don't say anything to him. And before you know it, another Danish whisk will show up in the mail. He's really, really good. Good morning, Misunderstood. So I have all these zinnias or zinnias, however you want to say them. I say zinnias. I planted them for the first time this year, and I'm just loving them so much. What a beautiful addition to the garden. And the seeds don't cost very much. But I told my husband, I said, you know what? I'm going to start watching some videos on the proper way to collect the seeds from all these zinnias that I've got growing so I can just use my own seeds next year and plant them. And so we were watching this video, and this couple were harvesting the seeds of the different varieties that they have. And they have little seed envelopes. And I said, look at that. Isn't that clever? They have little seed envelopes without even asking. Without even asking, the package shows up in the mail. And I was busy looking down at my computer for something for YouTube. And my husband walks up and he just handed me the whole package. And I said, what is this? Because it's hard to tell when you just look at the package what it is. And sure enough, look, tiny little seed envelopes. Oh, there's two of them there. They're very little. And so now I can just open these up, pop some seeds in, and you know what? I might use them in future giveaways. I might send out little zinnia seeds or whatever, marigold seeds from the farm if I have any little contests or anything, and I'll handwrite on there and they'll be from Country Mama Musings. But gosh darn it, that man, he is so wonderful. He called me in the middle of his workday today when we had that storm just to check on the baby turkeys. He was worried about the baby turkeys and the guinea fowl. And he says, have you checked on the babies? I was like, yes, I've checked on the babies. He says, I'm worried about the babies. So it's so neat that a man will, and he has a very physical, demanding job, but he stopped to check on the babies. I thought that was the neatest thing. Love that you're saving seeds. This last year, Michael, I have seeds. I've got a tin of seeds. They're kind of like my emergency seed stash, and I was going to plant them this year, but I thought twice about it. Of course, my flower seeds, yes, but I thought about it. I thought, with the way things are getting, I better hang on to my seeds. So I got some seedlings from our local little store, supported them, and got the seedlings there, and I saved my seeds. And I've got some Roma seeds that I saved from my tomatoes last year. My buttercup squash seeds that I saved from last year, I planted a few of those. But I saved my seeds because I just don't know what's coming. Now, this year, I'll probably save some of my green beans. And And speaking of green beans, if you know me, you know I'm all over the place. Um, Last year I did bush beans, and I really enjoyed them. We love them in we stir fry, or just cook them up on the stove or whatever. We love them. This year I'm going to make a bunch of dilly beans. But this year I planted Kentucky Wonder Beans, and they're the pole beans, so that they would grow up and over on my trellis back here on my cattle panel arch. And I had mentioned to somebody the other day about how wonderfully they were coming up and over, and they said, "Oh, I don't like those beans." And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Every time I've had them, they've just been tough. They're a tough bean. I don't like them." And so I was instantly heartbroken a little bit. It's like, oh my gosh, I hope they're good. Has anybody tried the Kentucky pole bean? Tell me what you think about them. Are they tough? Are they going to be okay for dilly beans? I really hate that. Maybe I made a bad decision. I don't know, but I don't care. Just the beauty of everything growing up and over. I wish I was in a better position. There's my zinnias. Gosh darn it, I'm backwards again. Anyways, I love how they're coming up in the garden. So if you've had those before, I'd love to know about it. Hey, Robertson's Belly Acres. I don't think you've been in here before. Welcome. This is my summer kitchen, everybody. I'm out here in the summer kitchen today. This is something I wanted to bring up. This came in the mail the other day, too. Look at this neat little thing. Hubby's really loving the retro feel of this summer kitchen that we have going on in here. And so he got this the other day, and it was just delivered. Look at this cute little thing that he had delivered. You put water down here in the bottom so it steams. And then in this tray, you put your hot dogs so it steams the hot dogs. And then in this part up here, you put all of your buns so it steams the buns. So when we have the grandbabies over, we'll put a bunch of hot dogs and buns in here, and they can just have a vintage little hot dog lunch with Grandma and Grandpa here in the summer kitchen. So I thought that was so cute. So I have that all set up, ready to go for when we have our grandbabies over. Make sure I set it where it's not going to fall and break. Stay there. Okay. You've had good success with bush beans. Never tried the pole beans. When did she pick hers? I didn't ask her. I didn't think to ask her when she picked them. She's been gardening for quite some time, so I'm sure she probably picked them at the appropriate time. I don't know. She just said they were tough, so I'm hoping they'll be okay for dilly beans. Robertson's, we hardly ever get to make it in the morning lives. This is such a treat for us. I love your outdoor kitchen. Thank you. I love my outdoor kitchen. So Robertson's, if you get a chance, go to one of my very, very first videos, and you will see what this space used to look like. This is it's a two-car garage on our little farm here. The county assessor's office has it as a 1902. I'm sure it wasn't like this in 1902, but it's pretty old. And on this half back here was the chicken coop that housed all of our chickens, our ducks, and 3 potbelly pigs. Well, the potbelly pigs busted out, took over the rest of the garage, and it was a literal pigsty. And I had been doing deep litter for the coop for them to stay warm for several years. So I had like 2 feet pile of composting. But I got in here one day, cleaned it all out, and turned it into a summer kitchen. So you could see the before video. And then I also have a 2020 summer kitchen tour, so you can see everything that we've got in here. It was a pretty neat transformation, and I know my family thought I was absolutely nuts. Yeah, look that over. It's really neat. So we were in a live. I was in somebody's live, and I don't remember whose live it was. I think maybe it was Yogi Hollow Farm. My turkeys are doing something that has me questioning what's happening. Anyway, somebody was talking about stalkers, and I said, ooh, I got a story about a stalker. But instead of sharing it on their live, I thought, I'm going to save that. I'm going to talk about that during my live, because I forget who we were talking about, but somebody was talking about stalking. And I know that one of the channels that I follow, they have a dog that they have in all their videos, and they have had somebody actually open an account under their dog's name, and then they comment on their videos about timestamps of when the dog is visible. So it's like really weird stalking stuff. So I had a stalker, and so I wanted to share the story because it's pretty it's pretty intense. It's pretty insane. So I know, looking at me here in all of this lovely, living good on the farm post cancer glory that I am, it would probably be hard to believe. But back in the mid to late 90s, I was a size 4. I was really involved in my community, and I was a local representative for the city we lived in as a beauty queen. Elbow, elbow, wrist, 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 wipe a tear, blow a kiss. That was me. I got up on stage. I did modeling. I did the whole evening gown interview. I really loved it. And I wasn't a miss, I was a Mrs. representative. And I had 4 kids at that time and lost all my baby fat, and I was just rocking it. Uh, I had a $1,200 sequenced and glass bead gown. I mean, I just did the whole thing. And so I was very involved in the community, and I would go to ribbon cuttings for different businesses with my crown and my sash, or I would be in parades, or we went to the Bob Hope 50th anniversary of the USO, and I got to go when planes were named, all kinds of fun stuff. So I don't know where I was that somebody caught attention of me. They were like, So I don't remember meeting this individual. I don't remember who they are. You meet so many people there. I think there's people sometimes when you're doing a ribbon cutting and you're just up there with the dignitaries from the city and with the business owners, and they do the ribbon cutting, you might not even meet people, but you're visible. So one day the Chamber of Commerce called me and they said, Alicia, you've got a letter here. And I thought, well, that's strange. They said, yeah, it's addressed to my title. I said, okay, I'll come down. I'll pick that up. No big deal. You were in that live, Robertsons? Okay, so you're just here for this story, huh? You're excited to hear about it. Okay, so I went down and I opened the letter, and the envelope was typed. There's no handwriting. It's all typed. And it had a return address, no name, just a return address, and then typed out to me. And I opened it up. And when I opened it up, religious pamphlets fell out, 2 or 3 religious little pamphlets. I thought, okay. You open the letter and it's all typed out. And there's not a traditional date on there. And I believe the first one, was something like sometime in April. But there's no date. It references something about the alignment of the planets and mentions the Hale-Bopp comet. So like we were in some rentigrade or whatever of the Hale-Bopp comet. So that's how that started. Not even a traditional date. And then the greetings to me. And this person went on and on and on about things that he had noticed in the world. And he had noticed me. And he really felt that if we joined forces between his knowledge of the Bible and my ability to speak to people in public, if we would just join forces, we could save the world. We would turn things upside down and save the world. And would I contact him and join forces with him? And I think, okay, this is really odd. I received a total of 3 letters from him at the Chamber of Commerce before the Chamber of Commerce said, you know what, this is freaking us out. Something has to be done. But anyways, some of the content in the letters. One of the letters he referenced in great detail, and I don't know if any of you will remember this, but at the time that the Hale-Bopp comet was going over, and this would have been in 1997 was during my reign, there was the Heaven's Gate cult in Southern California, which where I lived at the time. That's where I lived. That was about 100 miles from where we lived. You had the Heaven's Gate cult that all committed suicide. They did a whole bunch of crazy things before they committed suicide, but they really believed that when they committed suicide, they would ascend and somehow be picked up by Hale-Bopp comet, and live for eternity. I mean, they really did strange things. They were all covered. They all wore Nike shoes. The men castrated themselves. I mean, freaky stuff. But he references all of this in these letters to me about the Heaven's Gate cult and the Hale-Bopp comet. And I'm just freaking out. Another letter, he referenced a little boy who in our community, this was just a little bit north. It was in a community to the north of us. This little boy was playing in the alleyway with his brother. And this car pulled up and snagged this little boy and kidnapped him. And this man said that he was a substitute teacher and that he had been a substitute teacher in this little boy's class. And all of this weird stuff about his murder, because they did find him murdered. All of this weird stuff about him and how he knows that if I joined forces with him, we could prevent these things. It was just insane. He would always bring up some weird thing with these religious pamphlets, and he would sign his name. So I had a name, but everything was typed written, and it was just creepy. And one of the things that really worried me is I had 4 small children at the time, and there were times that there were events, I would take my children with me. There would be certain ribbon cuttings or fairs or something that I would go representing my title for the city, and my kids would go. And we did blanket drives for the homeless, and we were, there would be newspaper articles and all kinds of stuff. And I thought, I don't know what this man looks like. I don't know who he is. Do I have to worry about him snagging one of my children when he started talking about this little boy? I think the little boy was only 7 or 8 when he ended up being kidnapped and murdered. And I really started almost becoming agoraphobic and not wanting to go out. But I took the letters to the police department, and this is what I was talking about in that live. I took the letters to the police department and I showed them, and I had a female officer look at them. She goes, I'll run his name and I'll check him out. And she goes, I'll be right back. So she comes back and she goes, he's just a little 76-year-old man. I really don't think you have anything to worry about. I wouldn't worry about it. And I said, I could go to a ribbon cutting and he can follow me home. He could figure out where I live. With all this weird religious talk and joining forces with him and all this really weird stuff, you're not concerned? And she goes, I really don't see what the problem is. I think it's fine. And I said, I don't think it is. I couldn't get her to understand how this was so strange. And I don't remember, this pops into my head at the moment, but I almost want to say it was either around the time or just after the girl from Poltergeist had a stalker that came to her house. I don't remember the timing on that, but that pops in my head. But I was really, really nervous. And I said, you may think it's fine, but I need you to go talk to him. And she goes, oh, we'll send an officer over there. We'll talk to him if it'll make you feel better. But the Chamber of Commerce was like, we will not be accepting any more mail for you. And I was like, thank you. I don't want you to. Just do return to sender. And they went and talked to him. And I never did hear back from him, which is a relief. But I never did know if he was standing out in the crowd when I would do a ribbon cutting or be in a parade or something. It totally freaked me out. Now, I kept those letters for several years because I thought at first there was almost, even though I was completely freaked out, there was almost this kind of, hey, I kind of made it big time because I've got a stalker, Not everybody has a stalker. And so I hung on to them because I thought I should show this to my kids and my grandkids and say, look what happened to grandma, back in the day when I was really involved with the city. And I kept them for several years. And then when we were getting ready to move, I came across them and it just creeped me out. And I said, you know what? I don't need that negativity. I don't need that bad juju. I'm sure by then he had passed away. So I destroyed the letters and I got rid of them. I wish I still had them. Then I could actually show them to you guys. But man, that was creepy. I never want to go through that again. So I try to be careful. I know that there's people say there's ways that people can find out where you live and stuff. But I do try to be careful. Like if I'm doing a video and it has my license plate on my car on it, I try to make sure that I omit that and I don't show my house address. But I know that there are pinpoints that people can find if they want. But I watched a video the other day, and this was fresh in my mind because we were talking about the whole stalker thing on this other channel and how the police wouldn't help me really. And this person jumped in their car. It shows the make, model, color of their car, their license plate. They go to pick up their grandchild, who now it shows their address, and it's a teen girl, and she's hopping the fence and run out to get in grandma's car. And I thought, oh gosh, now they know where that child lives. And they go to their store, and it shows all of the street signs, how to get to the store. And I thought, you've just given them everything. And I hope that there's nobody that would be so devious, but you just don't know. So if you guys put videos up, try to, just like I held these envelopes up to show you, I held them with the addresses and everything towards me. But now that I think about it, I really hope that the people who sent me this sticker, I can trust them because I gave them my mailing address. If I ever get popular enough here, I'll go get me a P.O. box. How's that? Hey, Hedgehog Homestead, how you doing? Misunderstood. It was very creepy. Chat box has gone silent because everybody's listening intently. It's story time, children. If I would have been telling this earlier when we had the storm, there would be lightning and thunder, and it was so dark. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and I would have brought a flashlight, and I would have held it underneath, and I would have had the glow, and I would have told you the ghost story of the stalker of Southern California in 1997. But that didn't happen. Yeah, I'm going to do a P.O. box. I will be doing that. I've only had a couple things come this way, but I do need to get a P.O. box. Maybe I'll make that my little task this week, is I'll go get one. But yeah, I mean, it's scary. It's scary that you just don't know who's out there watching you when you're out in the public like that. So, but I had other fun moments during my reign. I had the Drifters actually dedicate a song to me and sing to me at the 50th anniversary of the USO. They sang Under the Boardwalk. They sang it to me, and I had Freddie Fender hold my hand and sing to me when I went to some different things. So many neat people I got to meet. I got to meet Sonny Bono, who actually became a friend. He was a representative for where we lived, and just devastated. My husband called me when he went to work. He goes, "Have you turned on the news yet?" And I said, "No." He goes, "You need to turn on the news." And I turned on the news and saw that my friend Sonny Bono had died in a skiing accident. I was heartbroken. And somewhere I've got, gosh, my nose is just tickling. I have a keepsake album that I had put together for my reign while I was this title holder. And I actually have some rose petals from his casket and the little brochure and everything from his funeral. And I was interviewed by ABC News for his funeral, and they said, "Do you speak Spanish by any chance? Because we want to have it for our Telemundo station." No, I don't. I didn't speak Spanish. Could have been on the news twice that day, but I was, from here to here with Cher and with Chastity. And when Mary Bono took over his seat in Congress, I went to her deal. I feel like I'm name dropping, but it really was a cool story. A lot of neat things that I got to do. One really neat thing was naming this airplane out at March Air Force Base in Southern California. We got to go with Miss USO from back in Bob Hope's time. She was Miss USO. Her name was Karen Koch, and she did all kinds of, gosh darn it. My nose tickles. I'm sorry, guys. So lots of neat things. I just got to do a lot of neat. I will tell you, okay, we were talking about movies earlier. I will tell you, I'm going to name drop this instance that happened to me, but you're going to kind of go, ooh, it's not newsworthy. And it wasn't, but it was one of those shocking things. It was like, I don't know that I want that to be my claim to fame, but it's there. So we were having a fundraiser for a firefighter. There was this little brush fire, and a firefighter was off duty, and he jumped up on a wooden fence, like a 6-foot fence. And when he went to go jump over to the other side to put out the fire, the wood collapsed underneath him, and he fell, and he broke his neck, literally. His name was Michael. And so we all got together as a community and we were having, was it Michael? Michael might have been a burn victim that I put something together for him. Anyways, we had this big fundraiser thing for him, and there were fire trucks and the helicopters that put out the forest fires, and we had local celebrities and we had Hollywood celebrities, and we're all these things. And who remembers Joe Azuzu? David Leisure. David Leisure was Joe Azuzu. He did the Azuzu commercials. Then he did a sitcom, but he was also one of the Hare Krishnas in the movie Airplane. So if you're a fan of Airplane, the movie, he's one of the Hare Krishnas. And I knew who he was because Airplane's one of our funniest movies that we love to watch. And I was like, hey, how you doing? And he says, oh, let's get a picture. And I said, okay. And when you're in the public like that and you're meeting people all the time, not only is there a bunch of elbow rubbing, but there's a bunch, kiss, little things, and you're always got that Hollywood kind of, kiss on the cheek, how are you doing? And we're at this event and he pulls me in for a kiss and I'm thinking I'm going to get a, that man kissed me full on the mouth. Like, I think he tried to even slip me the tongue. And Joe Azuzu just like laid one on me. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what am I going to tell my husband when I get home? My husband worked for a dealership that sold Azuzus back in the day. And so I went home. I said, Joe Azuzu full on kissed me on the mouth. Craziest thing. I have a picture. I almost brought it out to show you because I was looking for pictures to prove to you that I was, a beauty queen at some point in my life. And there's a picture of me with a veteran, and this is at the USO thing, and Abraham Lincoln. There was an Abraham Lincoln look-alike guy, and he gave me a penny. I'm sure I still have it somewhere. But I want to show that to my grandson because my grandson will think I actually met Abraham Lincoln and that I lived back in that time. So that'll be funny to watch him try to figure that out. When he was little, when my grandson was little, not Abraham Lincoln, when my grandson was little, he was flipping through the channels and he stopped on the Family Guy. And, Family Guy's a little mature for kids, but they don't realize it. It's a cartoon. And Peter Griffin said something and I said, oh, I don't like that guy. And my grandson goes, why? I said, oh, he's got a potty mouth. He's got a dirty mouth. He goes, really? I said, oh, yeah. I said, I went to school with him and he was the same way when we were in school. He was always getting in trouble for having a potty mouth. And, he was only 7 or 8. And he believed for many, many years that I went to school with a cartoon character, Peter Griffin, and he would tell people. And I just had dinner with him last night. And I said, do you remember when you thought I went to high school? And he's like, yes. And he was embarrassed to think that he actually believed that. But I'm going to show him the picture of Abraham Lincoln and see how that goes. Okay, Simply Jan, thank you for visiting. I appreciate it. You have a blessed week as well. I appreciate you stopping by. I have some pretty neat experiences. If you weren't in my earlier live to hear about the shark, a potential shark attack, you should check that one out. But when I had this lunch, I told myself I needed to tell you this. When I had this lunch with my grandson, my dinner with grandson yesterday, and with his dad, who's my oldest son. And I said, you remember when you thought that? And we kind of giggled, and I looked over at my son. He's like, don't even start. When my kids were little, I don't know why. If you've ever seen, and I always reference movies. I always love to reference movies. One of my favorite movies is Big Fish. If you've ever seen Big Fish, about this dad who tells these stories, and sometimes it's so much more exciting than just the regular facts of things. And I think it introduces magic. Thank you, Robertsons. So, when the kids were little, there were a lot of news coverage events that would come on for the space shuttle. And my boys would just run to the TV and they would just be transfixed anytime there was anything that had to do with the space shuttle. They were, 5 and 7 or 8. And, They just really loved their Tonka trucks and their cars and space shuttle stuff. They just really thought that was it. Well, one day we were driving through town, and there's this ready mix plant for concrete. And if you know anything about these concrete plants, they have, the ladders that go way up to these big silos that the trucks drive under, and it lights up at nighttime and everything. And when we were driving, I thought, oh my gosh, that kind of resembles what they see on TV. So one day I told my boys, I said, that place that we pass every day, that's where they launched the space shuttle. What? They were so excited. And so we made it a thing. I drove by and I showed them, I said, this is where the space shuttle launches from. And so from then on, while they were little, every time we saw that there was going to be a space shuttle launch, they would get all excited. And I'd say, get your shoes on and get to the car. Let's go see if we can see it. And they would scramble and they would run and get in the car. And I would, I'm driving as fast as I can, but of course I wasn't. And I knew there's not going to be anything there to see when we got there anyways, but the anticipation of, oh my God, it's a red light and the kids are screaming at me to go. We're going to miss it. We're going to miss it. And so we would drive all the way there and there'd be nothing there. And I go, oh, we just missed it. And we would look up in the sky and we would find a contrail from a jet or something. And I'd say, look, there's where the space shuttle went off. And they would be so disappointed that we missed it. But we would always follow it up with a trip somewhere to get an ice cream. And I thought, I'm building memories with my kids. And it was, always anticipation and excitement, and then that little bit of a letdown, and mama making it all better by having ice cream together with her boys. We have 4 boys. And then we would go home. And daddy would come home at the end of the day and they would just rush to him at the door. How we almost saw the space shuttle. We just missed it. And dad and all this stuff. And they would just go on and on and on and on. And we did this throughout their childhood. And at some point, it just kind of faded away. And I never thought to tell them that that was really the cement factory for ready mix. It just kind of faded away. And one day my oldest son called me. He's like 20, 21. Thanks, Mom. I'm like, what? He goes, well, I'm just driving along with my girlfriend and her brother and their buddies, and we're driving. And I tell everybody, hey, that's where the spaceship launches from, the space shuttle. And they all go, are you stupid? That's the concrete factory. The space shuttle doesn't launch. And he's like, oh, yeah. He goes, my mom and my brothers and I, we used to come out here all the time when we were kids, and we would come out to watch the space shuttle launch. But they never saw it. We always missed it. And they're like, yeah, right. And so he believed it all the way up into adulthood and embarrassed himself to death. Oh my gosh. You're the same way with SpaceX. Oh, we love to watch SpaceX. That is so cool. I wonder if I can find like a basketball court or something around here and try to convince my granddaughter that that's where SpaceX launches from. Ewan McGregor, great actor. I do love him. And that is such a good movie. And I will say, and I don't know if my other son will catch this live or not. Sometimes he catches some of the things I do. Like I said earlier, I love interjecting that little bit of magic. I wish I would have thought up like the elf on a shelf. I mean, that's right up my alley. I don't know why I didn't think of something like that, but I always try to come up with something. And so, I would take my kids out on snipe hunts. And when we were traveling cross country by Amtrak train one time, I took the boys to the observation car and we spent hours looking for jackalope. And I would always say, oh, I think I see one. And they would get all excited. And of course, there's no jackalopes. But as an adult, my second son, you know what? I really didn't like that. He's much like the child in Big Fish, who's grown up and says, you know what, those stories, he didn't care for them. And now he's raising his son. And with his son, it's straight to the point, factual. He knows there's no tooth fairy. He's 15 now. But growing up, he knew there was no Santa Claus. He knew there was no tooth fairy because my son felt so lied to growing up that he wanted to take the different approach with his son and be very factual and not lie to him. And I felt bad that my son grew up thinking that somehow I had done this to be deceitful to him, where I was just trying to interject a little bit of magic. But then he watched Big Fish, and now that's one of his favorite movies, and we've talked about it since. He says, I get now what you were doing. I understand it now. And he really likes that movie, and that's something now that we have a common bond that we can talk about back and forth is about that movie, Big Fish. Hey, Garden State Gardener, how are you? He loves to sing. Oh, Ewan McGregor singing. Oh my gosh, Moulin Rouge. I love listening to him sing in Moulin Rouge. Another favorite movie. Takes the mystery and excitement out of childhood. I think there should be mystery. Kids grow up too fast. There should be that mystery. There should be that excitement. But I think there does need to be a time where you kind of let the cat out of the bag. I remember when my boys just started high school, the neighbor that lived behind us, their grandson who lived with them, they had full custody of their grandson. He was a freshman in high school and he still believed in Santa Claus wholeheartedly. Nobody told him. Oh, one of our little squirrels that we raised is visiting out here on the little fence. It's either Bucky or Becky, not sure which. But we had two little orphan squirrels last year, and so they like to come around. But I thought, oh, somebody needs to tell that kid. He's going to get picked on at high school. But when he realizes that Santa Claus, yes, Santa Claus is real in the hearts of us, but he didn't get that. You know what I'm saying, Garden State Gardener, but there comes a point where you got to let the kids know I'm Santa Claus helper or Santa Claus is real in our hearts. I love the Polar Express that kind of pulls that together. Who says so? Hey, Arizona kid. 13 before she knew the truth. I'll tell you my Santa Claus story. And I don't know if Tom with On the Plant will join in here. Tom, his YouTube channel is On the Plant. He lives out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. Like, it's so obscure. Nobody knows where this place is. But I do because I lived there from the time I was 4 till 7. I mean, just totally strange that this man starts showing pictures like, I recognize that landmark. I used to live there. Well, we lived out here in the middle of nowhere. Like, we had to tank in our water, and we had a little electrical line that came in from the road, and open cattle country. You'd wake up in the middle of the night, and the whole trailer would just be rocking because there was a cow scratching her back on the corner of the trailer. Rattlesnakes, scorpions, dust storms. I mean, it really just is out in the middle of nowhere. Well, we used to travel, and this is in Arizona. We would travel from Arizona into California, maybe once a month, and we would do some of our major shopping. If we were lucky, we would get to see a movie, and we would go to this auction. It was like a swap meet auction. Well, Christmas, the year I was 7, the year I was 6, almost 7, and I was just this tall. My mom had this big, huge box, rectangle, big as a kitchen table. And it's wrapped in a sheet. And so they have it all taped up with this big white sheet on it. And it says, to Daddy from Santa. And it's leaning up in the living room of the house. And I got all excited and I asked my mom, what is it? What did Santa bring Daddy? And she had to explain to me how he had to drop it off early because, you had to leave room in the sleigh for all the other toys and yada, yada, yada. And she says, it's a tow hitch. Daddy needs a tow hitch so he can tow cars behind the truck, whatever. And she says, so don't tell Daddy that Santa brought him a tow hitch. Oh, I won't. I promise, cross my heart, hope to die. And so we go into town and we're going to go to the swap meet. She says, whatever you do, don't let Daddy buy a tow hitch at the swap meet because he needs one, but Santa brought him one, and we don't need two of them. So that's your job today. That is your job. Make sure Daddy doesn't buy a tow hitch. Got it. So we're walking along the aisles of this. It's a huge swap meet. If you've ever been to a swap meet, like where they take over a whole drive-in theater and they're just rows and rows and rows of stuff. This had rows of stuff. It had produce. It had a live animal auction, all kinds of stuff. Loved going there. We're walking along. My dad would go, I wonder if there's any tow hitches here today. Oh, no, don't get a tow hitch. Don't get a tow hitch, Dad. You never know when one might show up. And he played it up so well. Oh, he just all day long. I wonder if there'll be a tow hitch down this row. Gee, I don't think so, Dad. I think we need to go over here and go look at the goats or the sheep or the live animal auction or, buy me an ice cream, anything, but don't go down there because he thinks he sees a tow hitch. Totally played it up. Christmas morning. He lays the box down flat on the living room, and I'm hovering over his shoulder, and I'm so excited. I want to see what he says and his reaction when he realizes that Santa brought him a tow hitch. He opens it up, and when he opens it up, there is not full size, but mid-size, a yellow 10-speed bike. There's no tow hitch. There is a yellow 10-speed bike. And I was like, wow, Dad, that is so cool. Can I ride your bike sometime? And he just chuckled and he looked at me and he said, honey, that's not my bike. It's your bike. And I know the reaction that they were looking for, and this would have been a great, like America's Funniest Home Video thing. I know that they were expecting this great reaction from me of gratitude and wonderment, and everything is great. He says, honey, that's your bike. And I just looked at him and I looked up at my mother and I said, you lied to me. And I walked away. And that was the last time we had Christmas. And I'm not joking with you. We didn't have Christmas ever again. Ever. Growing up. We never had Christmas ever again. My mother was so heartbroken. And I mean, she talked about it till she died. She was so heartbroken about having her little girl look up at her with that look in her face. And all I could say to her was, you lied. And then storming off. Oh my gosh. No more Christmas for me. No more Christmas for my little sister. Sorry, sis. But Joey still believes, but I get what you're saying. I think it's important to believe, but also not be, I don't even know how to say it right. I know what you're saying, Garden State Gardener. I think we need to keep that magic for the kids. Keep it for them. Let them have magic because they're going to grow up too soon as it is anyways. Buying a shirt soon that says Santa stopped in Poland for pierogi, and we're pretty sure he's never leaving. Kids are still grown and they still believe in Santa because we always told them when they stopped believing, no more Santa gifts. But in reality, we all know. But I mean, it's sad when you see people that just really don't get it. I can't decide if it's starting to rain again or hail. Something's going on out there. My chickens are really quiet all of a sudden. Catching up here. Hi, Cindy Squirrel. Yeah, what a mix of emotions that Christmas was. Tell me about it. No more Christmas. They did make up for it. I mean, we didn't have a Christmas tree ever again. We didn't do the Christmas presents. No Santa, ho, 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 nothing. And I think at that stage, I even knew at that age, I knew Santa wasn't, real, but to be swindled like that over that gift. We never had Easter. I never got Easter baskets. But what I was saying is my dad and mom kind of made up for it because my dad, his birthday was September 26th. So what we would do is we would never have a traditional Christmas, but we would go out shopping for his birthday the following day. And of course, everything would be on sale. So, my dad would say, okay, you've got, $10 or something. You can buy whatever you want. And so I'm sure they probably thought, at least she's getting something she wants, as opposed to us buying something and maybe she doesn't like it, because as a parent who's had that happen before, the kids they're not happy with what they get for Christmas. And then they would rather play with the box than play with the gift. So I would still get things that time of year, but it wasn't Christmas gifts. And what was really hard was then, as in elementary school in the upper grades, and then even clear up into junior high, you'd go home for the winter break, and you wouldn't see your friends for 2-3 weeks. You'd come back and everybody's talking about what they got for Christmas. What did you get for Christmas? What did you get for Christmas? And it's like, nothing. We went to the discount bargain store and I bought this, but we didn't have Christmas. And so that was a little difficult. Santa was the spirit of Christmas. Thusly, Santa is real to him. That's good. That's very good. Wonderful human. Oh, stop. Keep going. Really. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the little bits of love. Love my stories. So glad came into our live. Got to go to work. Well, Robertsons, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. I will get back to our earlier conversation about big fish and the magic and telling stories. I will say that, like my shark story, I mean, that's real. These stories that I share with you, they're real. Sometimes, like with the shark story, it was like, oh, I hurt my arm, but now I might need surgery and I'm off of work for 12 weeks on disability. Heck, now it's not, just that I got knocked out of a kayak and couldn't get back in and got scared by a shark. Now I am a potential shark attack victim. And then you put this, you put a little spin on it and it draws people in. When I worked at a school, I worked at a charter school, and we didn't have a vice principal. We had a director, and then there was me. And so I just kind of just managed the school and try to put out the fires when I needed to and talk to the parents and all these things. And a kid would come in and they would have stitches, or they would have their arm in a cast. It's like, what happened? Oh, I tripped over my little sister's bottle and I fell and I broke my arm. I said, no. There was this cat. There was a kitten. It was an adorable little kitten. And it was in the middle of the street. And you saw that there was a garbage truck coming, and you had to run out and you had to rescue that kitten. And when you rescued the kitten, you fell, you tumbled, cradling the kitten to your chest, keeping it safe. But when you fell, you broke your arm, and the garbage truck missed you by this much. They didn't even slow down. And the kids are looking at me like, what? And I said, you're 13 years old. You're 14 years old. All the girls think you're pretty cute. How do you think they're going to react when you go out there and say, yeah, I tripped over my baby sister's bottle? I said, the girls are going to come swarming around when you start telling this story about this kitten that you had to rescue from being squished by a garbage truck. So, take your opportunities when you can get it. How is my channel not over 1,000 subs and monetized already? You're such a sweet person with very entertaining stories. Thank you. I don't know, but I'm going to let it get there organically. And if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I will still be here, still telling stories. My son gave me this laptop, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. He says, Mom, you've got to go on YouTube. And he would open up drawers in the house. He says, see this? This needs to be a video. Do you see that? You need to tell that story. You need to do this. And I always just kind of poo-pooed it. We didn't have very good internet out here, and I thought it would be too much work. But I wish I would have started back when we bought this farm, or even back when we made the move to come out here and tell the whole story about the vision board and how we came to live where we live. I wish I would have had those stories. It would have been great. But alas, I'm starting afresh. I started in 2020, and we'll just go organically from there. And if it happens, it happens. The main thing I want to focus on for this channel is I don't want it to become work. I know work will be involved, and you have to maintain things and drop your videos and do the things you need to do, but I don't want it to become work. Thank you, Michael. Hey, Firefly Farm, Recyclable Homestead, welcome, welcome. Rachel is the name for Robertson's Belly Acres. I will have to remember that, James. Thank you, because I'm bad with names. I'm wishing I would have had this channel when I was going through ovarian cancer treatment, because I really did try to keep the positive, jokey, kind of fun spin on it. And I think that would have been important for other people who are going through treatment to see. And I can't recreate it, but I can share those stories. But it would be nothing for me to go up to the cancer center, and on the days I was scheduled for treatment, there would be this lady with her little piano, little keyboard, and she'd play the polka, and I'd get up bald and my clothes draping off of me because I'd lost so much weight, and facing a pretty grim prognosis, and I'd dance the polka, and I'd grab anybody that would dance with me, and we'd dance the polka. And if it made them smile, if it made them happy before that needle went in, then my job there was done for the day. And that was one thing I tried to say through the whole time, is I'm just going to keep on smiling, I'm going to stay positive. But I really wish I would have had my channel then. And that's just it, Cindy. You are right. It's not work if you're enjoying what you're doing. I want to make sure I recognize where that line is so that I don't lose the joy. I don't want it to be where I have to, what in the world? Ooh, we just had a gust of wind come through. It scared me. Something's flapping out there, flapping in the breeze. I don't want it to be where I have to really worry about content, and I just want it to be organic. I want it to come natural. If I don't get 4 videos up a week, then I don't get 4 videos up a week. I don't want to lose sleep over it thinking, oh my gosh, my channel is not going to be successful if I don't do this, or my channel is not going to be successful if I don't have this merch, or if I don't have that. And I don't want to have to worry about, oh gosh, now I have to get Patreon on here and do a PayPal and all these things. And I think the monetization and everything will just be a bonus. But if I never reach that status, it's okay. I don't want it to be work. I want it to be where I have the love of sharing the stories, getting to know people, doing these lives. I still want it to be that. And if things come about organically, then they do. Too often I meet people that really love what they do, and then things become overwhelming and that joy is gone. My husband loves working on cars. He loves it. But when he was working for the bigger dealerships and it was constant, 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 got to get it done, got to get it done. You got to do this. You got to meet the hours. You got to meet the flag hours. Oh my gosh, it's a warranty job. They were pounding him with so much stuff that he lost the joy of actually working on the vehicles. It just became a job to him. And since we've moved here and he works at a little dealership, I think there's only 3 technicians now, the joy is back. He goes, I really enjoy working on cars again. He doesn't have the pressure to perform. I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't want to have the worry of the pressure to perform. I just want it to happen. If it does, it does. Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that compliment very, very much. Roost and Rescue, you made it. I've been thinking of you, love. I've been backing off. I know you've got some really important things going on right now. I was thinking of you this morning when I watered my garden. I saw that little teal ladybug in my garden. You would have done the polka with me. I'll do the polka. I'll do all kinds. I'll tell you what. People who know me know, like, don't challenge me with anything or a dare or say, hey, that would be fun, because I'm front and center. When I had that rain that I was talking about with the sash and the crown and, the parade waves and everything, myself and a younger title holder, she was the teen title holder for where we lived, we had gone to this big grand opening for a car dealership. And it wasn't just a car dealership, it was the whole auto mall. You had all of the dealerships represented. And matter of fact, my son works there now, my number 3 boy. He works there. And so they had this big thing. My second son was there. He got his very first job. He's one of those sign twirlers. And it was just big family event and everything. Well, they had this band. And I'm going to say the name of the band just in case they get wind of this. But they had this band that was performing. and it was the Rocky Zarp band, and they played, some blues and just fun songs and stuff. And I don't know what it was, a Hawaiian tropical theme for the whole thing. And I don't know what possessed me. And that poor girl who who went with me, her name was Monica. I think she was only 15. We donned grass skirts. Of course, we kept our regular attire on. We had to keep things, respectable. Not that grass skirts aren't respectable, but when you're a title holder and you're representing your city, you gotta be careful what you do. But we donned grass skirts and coconut bras over our shirts. We were pulled up onto stage with the Rocky Zarp band, and we sang backup for the band at this big event. I had so much fun. We sang Mustang Sally and Chain of Fools. And she and I are back there, and we're just singing, chain, chain, chain. And we're just singing. And oh my gosh, one of my best memories doing that. But it doesn't take much to get me up there. And it wasn't too much. It was in that time frame that a friend of mine, we went out for a girls' night. It wasn't very often with 4 boys that I would get a girls' night out, but my husband said, you know what? I got this. Go on out, have a good time. So my friend Janine and I, we went to a local restaurant that had the bar, and it was karaoke night, and I'd never sung karaoke. And I had a couple of, adult beverage. No, I didn't have adult beverages. That gets into the story later. I was driving, and my big thing was Diet Coke with lemon. But we're having a good time. They were singing some fun songs. I'm singing along and stuff. And I said, this is it. I'm going to go up. I'm going to sing karaoke. So I went up, and I didn't really know a lot of songs that I felt comfortable singing. I didn't want to be made fun of if it didn't turn out good. And so the male MC and we did a duet. And I would love to see some guesses while I sip on my coffee. What do you think the duet was? I'm going to read the comments. And so in the late 90s, what do you think the duet was that I sang with the MC? I should do like a Garden State Gardener. I should do a Q&A with multiple choice, and then you guys could guess. So Greenacre, I hope I can make YouTube a full-time gig someday. I enjoy producing videos and building community. It brings me so much joy to my life. I've met so many great people such as yourself. Michael, I concur 100%. That's where we don't want to lose focus. It's the community, the love of making the videos. You make amazing videos. My husband and I, before he went to work today, I showed him your video for the soldier fly larvae, the grubby whatever they are. I said, look at it. It's like a full-on commercial. It's awesome. And then he watched the bloopers at the end. It was great. As long as it's that, as long as we can continue that, the communitization, and now I got the hiccups, and just the love for what we're doing, that's what's important. And I love telling stories, and I love being out there. Big joke here with my kids is, oh, the newspaper was out again today. You did another story with the newspaper, Mom? Because I'm always coming up with something like, this is a community interest story that we should have the newspaper out. Like when the barn was taken down by the straight line winds, I had the newspaper out. When I'm done with this barn quilt, I'm going to have the newspaper out. When we remodeled the farmhouse, 1902 farmhouse, and they were having this series about remodeling, I had the newspaper do a story on it. This summer kitchen, I told my husband, I said, I really should have the newspaper. And he says, slow your roll, sister, slow your roll. He says, I don't want the county assessor to come out and change the taxes on the property because you improved the garage. Okay. So, yeah, communitize. You got it, Kelly. That was a fun video. What was I saying? I just went off on so many different tangents. I don't even know what the original thing was we were talking about. See how that works? And it wasn't about the newspaper. Oh, goodness. It was something else. Let me look back and see. Oh, what song? It was karaoke. We were talking karaoke. Okay. So nobody has said what you think I was singing. Yeah, squirrel. That's exactly how I am. And Lynette, earlier there was a squirrel, and that's exactly how I was. Anyways, he and I sang the opening theme song to All in the Family. He was Archie Bunker. I was Edith Bunker. And I did the whole, that nasally voice that she had. And I sang that part to a T. And people were laughing, and I was having a good time. I thought it was so funny. And the MC says to my friend, he says, "How much has she had to drink?" And she goes, "Oh, she's only had Diet Coke with one." I had so much fun. He thought I was drunk. So the next time I sang karaoke, though, I sang it at a little barbecue joint with my husband. And there was, oh gosh, I would love it if this guy chimed in, if he ever gets wind of my, gosh darn, my nose is so tickly itchy. And I think it's because we've had rain and the pollen is everywhere. Anyways, there was the guy who ran this one particular karaoke looks just like Tim McGraw, and his stage name is Twin McGraw. And we would go like once a week after work. We would stop in when he knew he would be there, and we would request songs, and he would sing them and everything. Well, one day I got my nerve up, and if I ever find it in my YouTube or in my Facebook memories, if I can pull that video, I will, and then I will download it, and I'll make it a YouTube one. But I sang "Walking After Midnight" by Patsy Cline, and I think I did a pretty darn good job. And the range is right there. I can sing that song. Crazy's a little too low for me, but "Walking After Midnight" I can do. And I was, rocking back and forth while I'm singing. My hands are by my side clenched because I'm scared, but I did a really good job. And he told me, he goes, "You did a really good job. You should do more karaoke." Well, much to my neighbor's chagrin, I spent the next week sitting outside on the deck, pulling up videos and trying to sing, and the cats were meowing and jumping off the roof and all kinds of stuff. So I showed up the next week, and I'm going to sing the Judds. And I sang "Rockin' to the Rhythm of the Rain." And I know the kitchen staff were committing Harry Carey because it was pretty darn bad. And I remember while I was singing, and I thought, I got this. And I could hear it was bad. I was way off. And you could see the kitchen staff peeking out from behind those doors. They were like, "Who is singing?" And the last time I sang karaoke. Bye, Hedgehog. Gotta go take care of your babies. Thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate it. Positive attitude, love catching your lives, puts a smile on my face when I'm sitting here working for the man. I'm glad to hear that, Michael. My job is done. That is the one thing. And see, it goes right back to big fish. It goes right back to big fish. And it became ever more clear to me when I had the diagnosis scare. But I've said it for a long time. I want my life to be not only that, my children know that I love them, and my husband knows that I love him, and my family and my friends, but I want it to be when my time on earth is done. I want it to be at the funeral service, people standing around saying, "Do you remember that time? Do you remember that time when she did this? Or you remember that time when she said that?" And people will laugh about it. And I want when everybody comes together when I leave this earth, I don't want it to be a sad time. I want it to be a time when people remember the funny stories, the good times, the antics, me bobbing for apples in somebody's, dad's bathtub that they had out at the farm, and just silly things like that. I want it to be, that's why it relates so much to that movie Big Fish. I want it to be the storytelling. That's what I want it to be. Bye, Kelly. I know we'll chat more once things kind of return to a little bit of normalcy for you. Safe travels. And Hedgehog is leaving. Mr. Boots and Bounty is here. Mr. Boots and Bounty, look, I did mail call earlier. Got your sticker here. That's how I want to be remembered. So when I I might be saying stuff that my husband probably doesn't even realize. Not that I keep anything from him, but I think there's a little bit of decorum when you face a diagnosis like I did, that you don't throw everything out on the table and verbally vomit on everything. When I received my diagnosis and right when I started treatment, I went to the funeral home and I met with one of the gentlemen that worked there. And I said, this is what I'm facing. I don't want my family to worry about any of it. This is what I want. And I have it all set up. They have it on file, and I gave my brother the card. So in case things turn south and my husband had to deal with something not good, my brother can say, hey, I have this information. It's taken care of. Alicia didn't want you to worry about it. And the things that I've written down is, I don't want a funeral. I don't want people coming to a church and crying and the eulogies and the sadness. I don't want that. That's not me. I have it set up that I want a party here at the farm. I want there to be a chili cookout or walking tacos or something fun, plenty to drink, lots of music. I want it to be a party. I want everybody standing around telling stories. Remember that time when she, hurt her arm because she was trying to get her fat butt back up into a kayak because she thought the shark was going to eat her. I want all those stories. I want a lilac bush planted, so I'll stay here on the farm, and I want my ashes to go with the lilac bush. Only half of them, though. Only half of my ashes. I want the other half put on the nightstand there at the bed so I can keep an eye on my husband, make sure he stays respectable. All right, Michael, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. We've been on 1 hour, 26 minutes. I have a little bit of battery left. I did not bring my charger out, so when the battery's getting low, that'll be it for the day, but we'll have more stories for another time. Kelly wants to be remembered that way. I agree. So what else can we talk about? It's like there's a lull. Funeral arrangements is like the numbers are dropping. So anyways, my garden is doing good. I'm very happy about that. The barn quilt is doing very well. I'm excited about that and sorry that I got rained out. I was so looking forward to that. That means I have to go in and do laundry and dishes, and I'm not happy about that. But everything's kind of great here. So somebody give me something to talk about. I hate it when I've got all of these ideas in my head and all of these stories, and I get sidetracked, and then I can't remember what I was going to talk about, and then there's a lull in the conversation, and then I can't pick it back up, and I can't run with it the way I normally do. We were talking earlier about me being impulsive and just doing things and running with it. There was this when I had my title. And I worked for this. Well, I didn't work. I was very involved with the Chamber of Commerce where we lived. We were in the process, like I have a mouse in my pocket, the area was in the process of flooding a valley to make a reservoir for water, and the water would come in straight from the Colorado Dam. They would have that reservoir, and then it would go further south from there. And so they were doing a lot of digging and doing everything, and they found a mastodon. Very almost complete skeleton of a mastodon. It's big news where we lived, and they've got a museum out there now and everything. They found a mastodon, a sloth that was like 5 foot tall, and a saber-toothed tiger, and they found all these things. Well, before they flooded the area, they were having a big open house for this valley and explaining everything that the water district was going to do. And they would have one of the representatives, crown and sash, they would have one for every busload of people to kind of like greet them and help them, get on the bus and find their seat and just, kind of be the smile and everything. And it wasn't long before I'd take the mic and I was telling stories and just having a good time with all of the people. And it just became natural for me. And that was a really great day that I remember. But later, same friend that I did the karaoke with, Janine, there was this great bargain to go from this town in Southern California to State Line, Nevada, to one of the casinos. So you got a bus ride up, You got lunch. You had like $10 in tokens to play the machines, and then back. And it was like $5. How can you go wrong? So she and I hopped on the bus and we're going, and it wasn't long. And this is a full-size bus. It was like a Greyhound bus. But I'm up front. I've got the mic. I'm telling jokes. And people thought that I actually worked for the company. And it's like, no, I just like talking to people and I'm telling you guys jokes. And I just had a great time. And they actually, at one point, they offered me a job, but I didn't want to spend so much time away from home back and forth on these tours. But that would have been a fun job if I didn't have a bunch of little kids. That would have been fun. Garden State Gardeners, see everyone somewhere today. Bless everyone here. Thank you for joining me, Joe. I appreciate it. We will be catching up soon. You know it. So there have been a lot of times where people think I'm a plant, not the plant that grows in the sun, but a plant like at a party. I don't know what the word is. I know the word I want to say, and that's not it. And I have to make sure I don't even open myself to that kind of thought pattern. But I've gone to parties and people say, do you work for this person? It's like, no, I'm just having a good time. And I don't know, it's just who I am. But I was at the store with hubby this week. We went down to get some things for the baby turkeys and everything. And we went to Wally World. We're walking around Wally World. And he goes, "You going to get a box of hair color?" I was like, "Why?" I said, "I need a box of hair color because I was not happy with that last box of hair color." He goes, "Oh, good." He goes, "Because look at this. Look at all of this gray already back. I only dyed it 2 weeks ago. That splat did not do a very good job." And I noticed in my painting video yesterday, back here in the back, there's like brown. And, it was such a thick gel, it didn't really permeate everything and get every strand. But when you get it where you mix it with the activator and it's more liquidy or foamy, you can get it in there. So I'll be doing it again. But I think if I mess up 2 or 3 times, he might just tell me to go to the salon and get it done. I hate spending the money on it, though. So before Green Acre left, he said, when I die, it'll be a time of happy memories and laughter. I sure hope so. I hope so. I don't like it when there's so much sadness. I just can't handle it when there's so much sadness. I can remember. Some of you have followed some of my things know that I have my dad that raised me, and I have my biological father, who I met after my dad died. Well, when my dad, we never did really find out what his diagnosis was, but I highly suspect it was the mesothelioma, because he was in the Navy, and a lot of the factors fit. But the day that he passed, he was on hospice. We had the hospice worker come out when we realized that this was it. And he had no longer had any respirations or heartbeat or anything. And I just started laughing. And this lady looks at me, and I don't handle stress well. I actually use humor to handle stress. I'm just laughing, and she's looking at me. And I looked at my sister. I said, "I am so glad that Dad's request was not to have his last words written on a tombstone." I'm just laughing. And my sister says, "Why? What were his last words?" And the last words he said was, "I gotta take a shit." That were his last words. And it's sad. I know someday I'm going to be in that position. And oh, what a terrible thing to have to utter to your children. You're in that spot of you're helpless in that situation, and it's going to happen. But I'm so glad that he didn't want to have his last words on his tombstone. Gosh, my nose is itching. And I'm laughing about it. And that hospice worker is looking at me like I'm the most evil person in the world to be laughing at something like that. But I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, Dad died, and that's how I handle stress, is I make jokes. But I was going to tell another one, and I forgot what it was. I hate it when things just fly out of my head. Mr. Boots and Bounty. Got to go get some chicken supplies. You have a blessed day, too. Take care. I think we're starting to dwindle a little bit, maybe too much funeral talk, but I'm having fun. We need to have some, yes, it's serious and we miss our loved ones, but come on. Got to remember those good times and have some fun times with it. But, oh, I know what I was going to say. Let's see, I lost another person. Well, maybe that was Boots and Bounty leaving. Um, my mom. My mom had a massive aneurysm rupture in her brain, and she was up at the Mayo Clinic up in the neurological ICU. And I mean, it was dire. She was not to live through the night, but she did. And she stayed with us for another 16 years after that happened. But I remember she would be unconscious a lot of the time, but she would come out of her unconscious state. And of course, she didn't know what was going on or anything. But they had a oxygen sensor taped to her finger. It would be on her finger, and they taped it so she wouldn't wake up and take it off. So it was taped, and it had a red light on it. And so she would wake up, and she would try to collect her bearings, and she would look at her finger, and she'd bring it right up to her face. And she was confused. She didn't know what it was. And we would say, "What's going on, Mom? What's wrong?" And she would do this and hold it up to us. Now, my mother, who was a saint, I don't think I ever heard my mother say a curse word. Never saw her flip anybody the bird. Never saw her drink. Never saw her smoke. She was very upstanding. So for my mother to be laying in this hospital bed and with perfect form, hold this finger up and look at it like she was confused. And we would say, "Hey, Mom, what do you want to say to so and so?" And she would just hold that finger up. And after days and weeks of this stress of not knowing if the next time you see your mother in the morning, is she still going to be with us, or is this going to take hold of her? All of that stress needed some comedic relief. And we would just laugh and laugh every time she would do that. And the nurses just really had a hard time with it. And I had one nurse tell us that if she saw us doing that again, she was going to report us for elder abuse. Elder abuse, because we were laughing at our mother doing this. And I guess she didn't understand it, but we found it so comical that she would do that. And somewhere I've got a picture, and if I ever find it, I'll revisit this story and share it with you. But she would, from then on, when she learned about this story after she was out of the hospital and feeling better, she'd say, "Oh, you guys doing that to me." And she'd chastise us a little bit. And we'd say, "Do what?" She goes, "Oh, that time when I had that thing on my finger." She'd do it again. And we would laugh and laugh and laugh. And I got a picture of her in the back seat of a car while we're driving. And she started talking. I said, "What was it you did with that thing, Mom?" And she's like, "I had that thing." And she's just waving her finger around laughing. And we would just laugh. Oh, it was so funny. But to actually have somebody tell us that they were going to charge us with elder abuse, I want to be that old person. I want to be that old person that does crazy things that makes people laugh and go, "Oh, she's at it again." And I hope I'm granted the availability to have that. Still here, Country Mom can't chat, but you're listening in. Well, I thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. So I worked so hard on my video yesterday, and I got it up just in time for a live that we were going to do, participate in, and it didn't make the cut, didn't make the queue. But I realized I was in such a hurry to get it going that the volume's a little loud. So I apologize if the volume's a little loud on that barn quilt one. And then I noticed after I put it all together, I had paint on my lip. Did anybody catch that? Did anybody catch in the video that I got this big splatter of white paint on my lip? And when people talk and they've got like the food in the corner of their mouth, it drives me crazy. It's one of my huge pet peeves. And I'm sitting there talking, and I got this big old speck of white paint on my lip. I thought, oh man, if I would have seen that, I would have made a joke about it in the video. Your mom did that too, but she thought it was a cigarette. That's kind of funny. I bet you could do something with that, like a stogie almost, Groucho Marx style. So, well, guys, we're a little bit, oh, I know what I got to tell you. See, I always do that. the last live that we did, and Denise was there for that one as well as some of you. My husband comes home. He goes, "What'd you do?" I said, "Oh, I did this today and I did that. And I collected berries and I took care of the animals and I did the garden and I did some laundry and I did this and I did a live." And he goes, "You did a live?" And I said, "Yeah, I did a little live." Okay, when we just go about, we have our dinner and stuff, and he's flipping through the TV and goes, "You did a 2-hour live?" I said, "No, I didn't." He goes, "Yes, you did." He goes, "You were on there for 2 hours? What could you possibly think of to talk about for 2 hours?" I said, "I was not on there 2 hours." And it becomes this little bit of a bicker back and forth. "Yes, you were." "No, I wasn't." "Yes, you were." He goes, "It's right there. You were on there 2 hours." I said, "I was on there for 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 22 seconds. Thank you very much." He goes, "What did you possibly find to talk about?" "I don't know. I just talked to myself." I do need to work it out. And I need to learn how to make it where people can come on. And then it's a split screen with 2 people or 3 people, and we're talking back and forth. I'm going to work that out. And maybe by our next live, I'll have that so somebody can just pop in and say, "Hey, country mama, how you doing? I'm over here in this state, and we're doing this today, and caught this and caught that. Just want to say hi." And then they'll pop out and somebody else pop in. I'm going to work on that. I see there's a button down here that says share. And I don't know if that's it, but I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to make it so that the next time I go live, it won't just be this mug that you're looking at the whole time. We'll bring some more friends on here, and that's more fun. It's so much better than any type of Zoom meeting or anything. You just really feel like you're communicating with people. I need to do that. Your grandma insisted she was ET when she came out of something like that? That's funny. Oh, I would have run with that one. Oh, she was ET because her finger lit up red. Is that what you're saying, Lynette? That's funny. I would have played that one up too. My mother, when she would have her lucid moments, and the doctors would come in and they say, "Do you know where you are?" And she would look around. She said, "Yes, I'm in the Edsel reading room." They said, "Do you know what year it is?" And she said, "It's 1900. And then they said, "Do you know who you are?" And she says, "My name is," what was her name? It was something Khrushchev. Something Khrushchev. She thought her last name was Khrushchev. The year was 1900, and she was in the Edsel reading room. And Claudia Khrushchev. And I want to know who she thinks she was. I thought that was so interesting. She did it more than once. It wasn't just a one-time deal. There were several times because she was up in that neurological ward for 49 days straight until she got moved down to a lower room in the rehab part. But for 49 days, she was in that intensive care unit, and she would wake up and my name is Claudia Khrushchev. There were times that she would wake up, and I was working with occupational therapy to work on some things with her, and she didn't know how to read. She didn't know her alphabet. She didn't know anything. And I was trying to work with her about some things for recognition. And I thought, she loves to play cribbage. She loves cards. So I got a deck of cards down at the gift shop, and I would lay cards out on the table in front of her. And I would ask her if she would recognize the cards, and I would get no response from her. So then I thought, well, I have to make them cards that are more recognizable. So I would do like 3 black cards, 1 red card. And I'd say, "Mom, which card's the red card?" She couldn't pick out the red card. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna get the ace of spades because it has the largest emblem on it. It's one she'll recognize. She had taken a nap, and she woke up, and we were chit-chatting and stuff. And I held up that card and I said, "Mom, what does this card say?" She got real close. She looked at it. She said, "Maverick Card Company, St. Louis, Missouri." 30 minutes ago, you didn't know your ABCs, and you didn't know what red was, and you didn't know what black was, but you can read that it's the Maverick Card Company, St. Louis, Missouri. I was thrilled. I ran and got the nurse and everything, and almost like sundowners. I mean, she just went right back to like not knowing anything. It's like, oh, I know they thought I was crazy. I did pass the 2 psychological evaluations they gave me while I was there sleeping on the floor for 49 days. Actually, I was there for 42 days for me. And I literally slept on the floor in the family room for that entire time. I would not leave my mother's side. But there was something else that she did that was so funny. I can't remember what it was, but I had this nurse come and sit with me one day while I was in the family room, and he's saying, you know, I don't know if I have to come into work tomorrow. Goes, what day is it? I'm like, it's Wednesday. Oh, yeah, I do have to work tomorrow. He goes, did you catch that thing on TV what the president was saying? President, and I'd say whoever the president was at the time, Bush or something. Bush. And I'd say President Bush. He goes, yeah, that guy.